You are good to go.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Evening. I hope you all had a great beginning of the year. I'm now calling to order this meeting of the College Place Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Board. Will the clerk take roll call and verify that we have a quorum today?
I will. Susan Sullivan.
Yes, and I was gonna tell you I've only got till about 5:30 today, so I apologize if I have to leave early.
Okay, thank you. Walt Meskey.
Speaking, I'm here.
Kaylin Pike.
Present.
David Lopez.
Present as well.
And Nadine Steckline.
Here.
Present. We also have with us today City Administrator Rizzatello, HR Manager Sean Doring, myself, and Kelly Black is here with us. She is with Blue Zones Project, Walla Walla Valley. And we do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Perfect. Thank you so much. So we're moving on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the agenda for today, February 8th, 2021, and the minutes from our last meeting, which was November 16th, 2020. And also to excuse the absence of two board members today, or the absence of Member Ponce. And does that include Member Hernandez as well, or?
Ponce and Hernandez, but we do have the land acknowledgement first. And I'm going to share my screen real quick and we'll get that up. Sorry.
That's okay. Perfect.
Can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Great.
So should I read through it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that this time around. We'll take turns because I know last time Kaylin did. Okay. We want to respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, including the Cayuse, Walla Walla, and Umatilla people. Their stewardship of the land over generations is based on their belief that water was created first. Life and land were created next. Land promised to take care of all life. All life promised to take care of the land. I attest, affirm, and acknowledge our responsibility to care for the land, natural resources, and all people benefiting from their hard work. We come together today in the spirit of honoring their legacy. And now we move on to the consent agenda. Is that correct? Okay.
That is correct. Thank you.
Okay. So I had mentioned it before, but the agenda consists of tonight's agenda, the meeting minutes from our last meeting, and to excuse the absence of board members Ponce and Hernandez. Are there any corrections to the agenda or minutes? If not, is there a motion?
I move they are accepted.
We have a motion that the consent agenda be accepted. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. Presentation. So tonight we have the Blue Zone projects, Walla Walla Valley, and it's now time for a project presentation by Kelly Black. Is that correct?
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation to be here tonight. And I'm wondering if I could share my screen for a PowerPoint. Great.
Absolutely. Hang on just one moment. I'll get you
Okay.
authorized.
I see a share screen, so I might have access here.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it says I can't.
One moment and you will have that ability.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you should be able to now.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, I'm just sharing here. Let me know. Are you able to see the PowerPoint? Okay, excellent. So really excited to be with you tonight and excited to talk to you about inclusion. That's a real priority for the Blue Zones project. So I understand I have about 10 minutes here, so I'll do a brief overview and then time for questions, and also want to get some input from you. So let me just give you a quick overview of the project for those that aren't familiar with it. You might remember the series of National Geographic articles that came out about the Blue Zones project a decade or more ago. And in that was Dan Buettner's 15-year longevity study, where he looked and he discovered the world's healthiest, longest lived people. And what he discovered in that study was that there was places around the world, 5 of them, where people lived the longest, and they also were really healthy late into their life. And so you can see here on the map, you have a spot in Japan, in Greece, Italy, in Costa Rica, and then in Loma Linda, California. That's the one closest to us. And so what they learned in those spots is that people were 3 times more likely to live to be 100. And they, on average, lived 12 years longer than US citizens, but like good years. So not just being 90, but being 90 and out, able to be really healthy and active. And, you know, people didn't live longer lives because they had access to better healthcare. They really were living longer lives because of some of the choices that they were making and how their environment supported those healthy options. So after Dan Buettner identified those spots around the world, he sent in a team of scientists to really look and see what are the commonalities of those areas. What are some of the things those people are doing that's creating this life that's healthier and they're able to live longer. And so this slide illustrates some of the things they found. And they call them the power of 9. And over the next few years, you'll probably become familiar with those terms. But they include things like moving naturally, really knowing your sense of purpose in life and taking time to downshift. Things like eating wisely, having a group of friends at 5 that get together and socialize, eating more vegetables, having that plant slant, and then also not eating too much, like maybe eating off a smaller plate or just eating until you're like 80% full. And then there was a really important focus on connection and relationships within community. And I know that's something we all crave right now with COVID. But really that focus on putting people that we love and care about first, making sure we take time for them, developing each of the people in these areas around the world had a strong sense of belonging to their communities. And they surrounded themselves with what we call the right tribe, or those that just support those positive life choices. So those are some of the characteristics that they discovered in the Blue Zones. And so a Blue Zones project actually works to improve what we call the life radius. And that's the area where we spend the majority of our time, where we live, where we work, where we play. And in the original Blue Zones, people made healthy choices because those choices were easy or even unavoidable. Maybe they were shepherds, and so they moved a lot just naturally throughout their day. Or they ate healthy foods because those were just a lot of plant-based foods were what was in their environment. And so the Blue Zones will focus on 3 areas. And one of those is places to go into, like work sites, schools, restaurants, grocery stores, and what changes can we make there that will just support healthy choice for our whole community. It will look at policy, like what built environment policy or tobacco or food policy could support that healthy choice. And then it will work a lot individually with people and people in community though. So with purpose workshops, just taking time for people to really rethink what is my purpose and how am I acting on that in my life, giving opportunities to volunteer in community. And then something that we call moais, which is actually a Japanese term, and it just means gathering together for a common purpose. And so creating like walking moais, purpose moais, potluck moais, all of just that connection point. So those will be the types of things the projects will look at a high level. So the Blue Zones project has rolled out in 56 communities across the US, and we're really excited to be the first one in the state of Washington. And I know many like David and others worked so hard to get the project here. And so we're just really grateful for that. And I want to introduce, we have a local team of 5 people that works with the national team to roll out the project here. And so on this slide, you see our local team. Many of you might know Megan DeBolt, who is our executive director. My name is Kelly Black, and I'm the engagement lead. So do a lot of marketing, PR, people engagement. Rebecca Thorpe will be our senior events coordinator. Katie DuPonte, some of you might know Katie, she will work with work sites, places, restaurants. And then Emily Brown is our policy advocate, and she's been busy over the last few weeks holding focus groups, just a lot of people engagement over policy. So when we think of how the project will roll out on just a real high level, I want to walk you through that. We already went through the development phase, and that's what ended with Walla Walla being selected as a Blue Zones project site, and then also getting a sponsor for which we're really grateful for with Adventist Health and Walla Walla University. And right now we're in the foundation phase, and just think of that as like the discovery phase. So that's where we're doing a lot of one-on-one focus groups. We're doing a lot of engagement with people because we're really building for that community input that we'll need. And at the end of this phase, we'll put together what blueprint, which is actually just the project plan. And that will be approved by a steering committee that's made up of local individuals from Walla Walla. And then after that's approved, we'll start we get to roll out the project, and that'll be a 3-year process. And that's when you'll start hearing about programs and things happening. And that's called the transformation phase. And then the final phase is when you get certified as a community and have that big celebration. So that's that quick overview. When we think of the structure of Blue Zones, at the bottom of this pyramid here, there's the Blue Zones like global experts that we rely on just for best practices and things that have worked in other communities. And then there's also a Blue Zones central team or national team that we partner with. But then much of the work is really done by community leadership committees and volunteers. The project is a community-driven initiative. And so we're working really hard to pull people in around the community, representing the breadth of the community to be involved. And so this next slide here, might be a little hard to see, it might be too small, but I'll try to explain it here for you, is when we build the committees, I wanted to share with you a little bit of our committee structure, because when I think of like diversity and inclusion, we want to make sure that we have people that represent the breadth of Walla Walla on each of these committees. And that's what we've been working hard for. And so I'd love to have your input. Overall, we have a steering committee, and they will be the one that really guides the process and the project, and they are the one that approved the blueprint. We also then have a variety of kind of work committees. So engagement committees, community policy committees, faith and civic organization. We have a committee for work sites and schools, and then restaurants and grocery stores. And each of those work committees is co-chaired by someone on our Blue Zones Project local team, and then someone from the community. And again, the heart there is because we want to really represent the breadth of the community and want this to be a community-driven initiative. So that input from various leaders and just those that are interested and want to be involved is just so important. So we are currently looking for recommendations for people to serve on the different, especially the work committees. The steering committee, I'll move forward to that slide, has been formed mostly. And you'll see here, there's representatives from government, representatives from our Latino community with Roger and Amanda, and then schools, there's civic leaders, there's public health leaders, and then business leaders. So trying again to represent that breadth of the community. So looking forward, and this is what I'd love to ask this group about, we're doing a variety of upcoming focus groups and discovery groups. And you'll see on the slide here, we have an upcoming faith-based focus group, and that's on February 15th at 5:30. And then we have some individual focus groups with community leaders and nonprofits, and that's on February 11th and 15th. And then we have a Hispanic engagement, neighborhood engagement focus group, and that will be in Spanish. And that will probably be the 18th or 19th of this month. We're finalizing those details. And so I would, again, love to hear from you if you have ideas for people who could be involved to really help represent the community. So that is the quick high-level overview of Blue Zones. I hope I didn't go too quickly. I wanted to be cognizant of your time, but I would love to take any questions that you have. And I'm also happy to schedule meetings after this time, to talk further, things like that. So things I would love to hear is any ideas you have for people that you would like to see potentially serve or be involved and help connect us to the whole breadth of our community, and then questions you have. And I will end sharing my screen.
Okay, it looks like Kaylin has a comment or a question. Go ahead, Kaylin.
Thank you so much. This is Kaylin Pike. My question for you, Kelly, is how are you purposely connecting to the LGBTQ+ community here in town?
Yeah, that is a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. And I think the way we would do it first would be individually in some one-on-one groups. So I know that there's a couple people involved that would have ties to that community, and I would love to connect more. And then I think it would also be to get representation on the engagement committee or some of those other committees. So absolutely love to do that.
Are there any other questions for Kelly? You can raise your hand with the raise your hand feature, or I could see you all. I do have a question. I'm really excited about this project and I love the slides. I think they're very clear and put a lot of information out there. If there's someone we can't think of right now that would be best, is there an email address or something that we can send it to so that we can let you know?
Absolutely. I can put the email in the chat if that's helpful, but it is kelly.black@sharecare.com. And sharecare is like SHARE and then the word care.com. But I can also put that in the chat if that's helpful.
Okay, so kelly.black@sharecare.com.
Yep.
And I can provide it to everybody. We actually don't have chat enabled
Okay.
due to OPMA and Public Records Act rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm really happy to follow up with anyone.
Perfect. Yeah, I have a couple of folks that I can think of on the top of my head, but I probably, if I had more time to digest it, I could think of others as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
Any other questions or comments? David?
Yeah, I just want to say great presentation. I think you did just a wonderful job of recapping it in such a short time. I will mention that I know from the inside that if you want to get involved right now, one way that you could do that is by taking the age test. And it's just a really fun thing to do. You just go online and fill out a few questions. The benefit to doing that, other than knowing your real age, would be that you have an option there to stay connected. So there's a newsletter as well that is going to be going out here regularly to keep people involved and engaged in what's going on. So there's going to be some pledges that we're going to ask everybody to do and get involved. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a wonderful thing for us to join together and work on something that I think we can all agree is very important to our community. Good job, Kelly.
Thank you, David. And I appreciate you mentioning the real age test too. That's great. And I'm happy to send out more information on that to the group if that's helpful.
Yes, that'd be great if you sent it to Lisa. She can send it to all of us.
Okay, I'll do that.
Perfect. There are no more questions or comments. We can move on to action items for today. Thank you. So action item 4.01, Proclamation Black History Month. As folks may know, the month of February is designated as Black History Month. Is this Mike Rizzatello?
Yeah.
Take it
Yeah.
away.
Thank you. So yeah, what I want to start doing is that as we meet every quarter, I want to get input from everyone on this board as far as the language that's in the respective proclamations that the city issues. So given the fact that within the next quarter, looking at the calendar, the two proclamations are Black History Month and then Older Americans Month in May. So I just want to open up the floor as far as if there's additional language or additional sentences or any thoughts you may have on what should be in the proclamation, or if it's good as it is. That's why it's on the agenda for tonight.
Okay. Everybody could see that right there, and any comments or questions we may have. I have a question. Has this been something the city has been doing for some time, or is this kind of a newer thing?
The city has been doing this over the past couple of years. Historically, how some of the proclamations came about was looking at proclamations from nearby communities or so forth, but there hasn't really been a lot of drill down into the language of the proclamation. So I just want to make sure it basically fits like the ethos of our community, or if there's additional things that should be within the proclamations.
Thank you.
And I want to note that I do have the Word document up on my computer so I can make edits as we are discussing it.
Perfect. Kaylin?
I'm just going to forewarn that I'm probably going to open up a whole can right here, but I do not think that this is an appropriate proclamation. I feel like they are empty words. If this is something we've been doing for the last couple of years, I would like to know what action items the city is taking to actually have a Black History Month, or if this is something that we are just saying to appease the masses.
Thank you, Kaylin.
Okay. Well, I mean, it hasn't been about appeasing the masses. As far as what we've been doing, at least since I've been here, is it's been about sharing information, sharing any of the events going on at Walla Walla University or any of the like institutions. So that's what at least I've been trying to do from that perspective.
Yeah, and I do understand, or maybe I'm gonna say it for myself. I kind of feel the same in terms of were there any actions or that the city has taken or is planning to take. I know it's a proclamation, which means it's kind of like an honoring or a, like you said, you're summarizing what goes on in the month of February. But I see that a lot of times that doesn't get as far as many folks, speaking personally, would want to see.
Well, I mean, historically, with both this proclamation and other ones, we would tie it to events going on in the community or recognizing to the community the dates, times, places, things that our residents could go to essentially learn more. So, I mean, that is in essence what we would typically tie the proclamations to. As I said, I'm just trying to solicit additional ideas, dialogue, things from this board.
Kaylin? Go ahead.
Personally am not comfortable saying yes to this
Okay.
proclamation until there is something in the wording
Okay.
that affirms the value of Black lives in our community.
Mhm.
Kaylin, could you help me understand what that might be? Like, could you give some examples maybe?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of cities and other businesses that have really made a stance of affirming the Black Lives Matter movement and acknowledging that it has nothing to do with the police force or with military or anything like that, but establishing that we desire to be a safe place for people of color, but Black people specifically, and that we unequivocally see the value that they bring to a community.
Yeah, I believe one of those is the Walla Walla Rural Library. I think they have a statement on their district. The Rural Library District has a statement. I haven't read it in a while, but it has some affirmation, or it does have affirmation that Black Lives Matter in our community and beyond. So do you think, Kaylin, the next step would be for Mike to kind of add that portion to it and then maybe send it out via email so that we can have a affirmative on there?
That would be great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This group can't take action on it through email.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We could do a couple of things. You could, as a group, designate 1 or 2 members to revise the proclamation and accept their revision with working with city staff. Or you could set a time for a special meeting to come back and approve a revised version, but you can't do it through email.
Gotcha. Thank you, Lisa. Would anyone like to make a motion following any of the suggestions that Lisa made, either designating someone, or you can designate yourself if you want to work on the proclamation with city staff? You're on mute, Kaylin. Unmute.
I move to volunteer myself to help the city staff come up with the proper wording.
Perfect.
If you guys are okay with me doing that.
Yes, so that's the motion. Do we have a second? Does anyone second that? Susan?
Second.
Oh, everybody second that. I heard Walt, so Walt's going to be our second. And then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And all opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Thank you, Kaylin. That will be very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, and could we take a look at the next proclamation?
Yes. The next proclamation is for Older Americans month, and that's the month of May.
Month of May, okay. When is our next meeting?
Basically May, but later in May. So we missed the first council meeting. So I'm trying to get ahead of.
That's perfect. I was
Yeah.
just wondering. No, that works. I had never heard of this before. This is a new concept to me, so I appreciate you bringing that forward.
Yeah, this concept I originally heard of in Beaverton.
Okay.
And then typically Sunbridge or the Presbyterian Church, one of them will typically do an event related to this closer into May. So that may be included at the end of it. I just haven't seen any information as to what the event is yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Does anybody want to take action on this? Does anybody have any comments or have a motion?
Just seems appropriate that we talked about blue zones. So.
Yeah, that's a great connection. Yeah, to live longer, right?
So yeah, you could add some wording that we support, that we're actually doing some things here that promotes this as well.
Oh, okay. There you go. So what could we add that into there? Cool. About blue zones kind of
Yeah.
being that action step.
Yep.
That'd be great. And with that addition, do we have a motion?
I move to accept this proclamation with the amendments aforementioned.
Perfect. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Proclamation.
Okay, I just want to make sure I've got it right, that basically we want to modify where it says, I, Norma Hernandez, Mayor of City College Place, do by here proclaim May as Older Americans Month, and encourage everyone to participate and support in the Blue Zones project?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's some action to, I think that everyone's nodding their head in favor. Thank you, Lisa, for getting the words down that we're all thinking. All right. That's all for the proclamations? Is that right? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you bringing it before us and, inviting us to help with the verbiage. It makes it more of an inclusive and exciting process, I think. Sometimes proclamations are just heard by the people in the room. And so the fact that we got to hear it kind of a preview is, I find it exciting. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, our next item are reports, our draft guiding principles document.
Yep. I included this just as a basis for discussion or just to ponder for a future meeting. When I worked at the city of Beaverton, a lot of my knowledge in this comes from that time because they did a lot of very innovative work in this regard, but they developed like guiding principles to help with discussions, both at the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Board level, and then even in larger community discussions ranging from comprehensive plan to strategic plan. And it just helped to bring everyone at the table feel more comfortable. So I just wanted to share this as like a basis if maybe things needed to be tweaked, added, subtracted. I just wanted to bring it for general discussion or to ponder for even the next meeting.
Okay. So would these be guiding principles for us in our meetings, in
Yeah.
okay, so then you would kind of, we would have the expectation of looking at these and meeting each one and asking questions if we don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to get my head around there. I think it looks great. I really like that it's more than just, when I see guiding principles, very often it's like 3 or 4, and this one has a lot of it, and in a good way, because it's helping create more dialogue, and it'll help in terms of us being able to feel freely to speak from our own experience and to listen actively. I really like those two. They call out to me. Does anybody have any questions or any comments? We're not taking action on this.
No.
This is just a something to think about. Okay, I saw Kaylin first.
What does step in, step out mean?
That's a good question.
Basically, getting into the conversation and also trying to put yourself like in other people's shoes. That's how it was explained to me.
Thank you. And then I saw David.
I was just going to say, if we were looking for an action item, I would say this would be interesting to think about including or getting in front of other committees and other advisories. Like, I think out of this group, we're the most sensitive to this, and we're already thinking about this. But where this could be helpful would be to kind of give some guiding principles to others to be thinking about this in their talks.
I like that. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? No? Okay. I see none. I don't think so. Okay, we can move on to the next item, which is the fiscal year 2021 legislative update.
Yep. I just wanted to make sure that this commission was aware of 2 bills that are moving forward. They have yet to be passed out of the House, but they have made it to essentially the various committees that have went through. And the fact that they've done so this early, it stands a very good chance that they'll pass. So I just want to make sure you were aware of them. So 2 of them is House Bill 1203. This one would actually mandate community oversight boards for law enforcement agencies for communities over a population of 5,000 people by January 1st, 2025. The way the bill is written as of late is that this board could act in that regard. This is moving through the House right now, but I wanted to make sure you were aware of it. House Bill 1259 also deals with a minority and women business preference for city small works roster. So currently this exists for procurement basically at the state and federal level. However, for non-charter code cities, which College Place and most cities are, that's under Title 35A of the RCW. The cities themselves aren't allowed to create such a preference, which is a bit odd. Other states, including Oregon, have a very strong program in that regard and allow local communities to build a preference for procurement in that regard. And this is actually moving through where it would allow non-charter code cities to do just that. So both those bills are moving. I included an example of like the procurement program that existed in Beaver. Then these are moving quickly, so I just wanted to make sure you were aware of them.
Do we have any questions or comments on the upcoming House bills? Kaylin?
City Administrator, you had mentioned that this committee could serve as the committee for the House Bill 1203.
Yeah.
But I also see that it's not looking to oversight or oversee law enforcement until 2025. Are you saying that if this bill is to pass in the House, you would like to do this sooner in our community?
Yeah, that is what I am saying, because it encourages communities to get going on it sooner. And as you read through the legislative bill, it actually mirrors how this commission is set up. So I think that would be great to start doing that and developing policies and procedures and so forth. So that's why I just wanted to give you all a heads up that this is like coming.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that was a great follow-up question as well.
But these bills like change all the time. I mean, it's ridiculous how stuff changes quickly over there. So I will share it if anything catastrophic happens, because it goes day by day. But for it to go through the committees this fast, it stands a good chance of passing.
That's good to hear. Anybody else have a comment or a question regarding these two bills? No? Okay. I don't see any. Next item, Mercy Corps Northwest Walla Walla Valley Microbusiness Assistance Program. Sorry, took away your reason.
So I wanted to make sure everyone on the board was aware of this and to share this information. We share this via in English and Spanish through city social media, and then our web pages, and then reader board out in front of City Hall. But this program, what it does is it's competitive, but folks can put in for business training, and then 8-to-1 match for an individual development account for your small business. And folks don't have to have an established small business. It could merely be an idea. And it's 8-to-1 match up to $4,000. And the training is both in English and Spanish. And we've had, this is going to be our roughly fourth cohort of this. Each cohort, there's always more people that apply than we have seats available. Several of the banks in the region, as well as the Port, City of College Place, and City of Walla Walla all contribute to this program. The reason I want to make sure this is that everyone's aware of this and can refer people to this is that it's exciting. We actually have additional seats into this program this year. So last year, I wrote a community development block grant application to the state for about $120,000. And we actually received the grant. So for the next 2 years, we're actually able to add an additional 6 seats on top of the seats we already offer. So we're able to dramatically expand the program. And it's looking good that we should be able to do this into the foreseeable future, because the state really likes this program that we've worked on with the City of Walla Walla and then Mercy Corps Northwest. So I'm just sharing this information to just urge you all to please share it with folks you know, post it. I try posting it in a variety of places in both English and Spanish, because it's a great opportunity, and it's a way to get several small businesses going here in the Walla Walla Valley.
Yes, I've had a couple of folks real quickly that have had success from this and attribute it all to the training that they received and the heads up and head start that they got. Kaylin.
I am looking through the website right now and I cannot easily find it. Is there an age requirement for this? Like if I had, let's say seniors that graduated last year that were looking at starting a business, is this something that they're eligible for? Or are we looking at businesses that have already started?
It's 18 and above, and it doesn't have to be a business that started. It could merely be an idea.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. And that's a great resource for recent grads and current college students if they have that passion, that entrepreneurial spirit, right? That's probably a good fit for this type of program.
Yeah.
So how do people actually apply for that?
Basically, it's by going to the Mercy Corps website. They have an application. And I've shared on our Facebook, Nextdoor, and Twitter. And there's an interactive application you fill out. It does tend to be competitive because a lot of folks are applying to this. But the likelihood of college place residents being able to get in is dramatically heightened since we got the grant.
And it looks like the deadline is February 16th. So that's next week.
Yeah.
Perfect. 5 p.m. And I think there's a link on the college, on the website, the city website. Or
Yeah, I have it on the business portal of the website.
that's right. I think I've seen it there.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah. Click on business. You click on the business portal and then scroll a little bit down and then Mercy Corps.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments? Nope. Okay. Thank you for bringing that for us. Let's see. The next, at the November meeting, the next agenda item is the definition of diversity and inclusion. I don't know if today would be the best day to do that because there's a couple of us missing. And so I'm thinking that we might want to come back to this topic, but I still like to put it forth for everybody and also ask a question if you need any kind of support or any kind of reference materials. But in essence, it would be great if everybody could bring to the table to our next meeting what they define as diversity and inclusion, and for us to work through a definition so that when we talk about diversity and when we talk about inclusion, we are aligning ourselves and making sure that we all know what we're talking about. So I would just like to, I just wanted to make sure today that we got it on our kind of our homework or to-dos. And if you needed any kind of resources, please reach out. I'm sure city administration would be willing to help with that, beginning piece. And if you needed anything in terms of resources, and we can, like I said, we can kind of walk through it together. So you don't have to worry about being right or wrong. It's about us moving through and really aligning ourselves, if that makes sense. Kaylin?
Just for the sake of time, and Lisa, I am not trying to add more onto your plate. So if you want to veto this, I'm here for it. But what if we all collectively came up with our own thoughts, email them to Lisa. Lisa could compile them and then email them out before the next meeting. I just think that would help with conversation instead of trying to come up with it on the spot and sharing on the spot.
I am more than happy to do that.
Thank you, Lisa. I think that would be great for our time. So Lisa, I'll be following up with you so we can have at least a week to review it. So a week before, we can have Lisa reach out to you to gather that information, and then wait.
Yes, everything, the next meeting is in May. So if everybody could have everything to me by May 10th,
okay,
then I can get it included in the packet for distribution.
Perfect. That will work.
Are you willing to send us a lovely reminder email?
I absolutely will.
You are the best, Lisa. I think sometimes we have so much going on and it's a couple of months between, so we kind of forget, and it's much appreciated. So we'll go ahead and make sure we have everything to Lisa, our definition of diversity, our definition of inclusion, and then she will send it out before the meeting. It'll be included in the packet documents so that when we come to the meeting, we already have, what other folks have, and then we can work from that content. That's a great suggestion. Any other questions or comments on the definition? No? Okay, let's move on to update on board goals and any updates from board members. So let's see. If anybody here, let's see, we have some action steps, but if you didn't have a chance, you could just pop in and just say we haven't had a chance to meet. But I'm going to start with creating a self-assessment. I don't know if David or I know Member Pons is not here today. If you guys had connected about that.
No, we haven't connected yet.
Okay. And then Kaylin? Yes.
Yes, so I'm with Sean, and I am happy to say that I think our city is doing a great job when it comes to hiring practices. We didn't get to the training side. We were gabbing about some other things as well, but I'm very pleased with the work that she and the rest of the team do in trying to make the applications easy for everyone to have access to, giving the opportunity for the jobs for all sorts of people from all different demographics. I honestly can say that I look for mistakes in a lot of places, and I think that we're doing a great job with the hiring practices.
Thanks, Kaylin. Kaylin and I got together for a meeting and we had a nice chat. She gave me some great resources, which I added to my reading list. And maybe next time we can talk about the training. I know that we have a new, we recently switched insurance companies, and they provide us with fantastic training that we didn't have access to before. So they have tons of diversity training. Our staff is just working through a diversity in the workplace training that they offer through their virtual platform. And then they have more in-depth Zoom type trainings for our department heads. So we're working our employees through those trainings. So anyway, and then Ruben was also interested in the same, Ruben Hernandez, in the HR and hiring practices. And he actually helped us with our last round of oral board interviews for police officers. So I appreciate that.
Perfect.
Thanks,
awesome.
Sam.
Thank you both. The next one we had was community safety and support. So I know that I don't believe Chief Tamaris is here, but Walt, Suzanne, and Ruben, I don't know if any of you have, oh, Ruben's not here, have any updates? Have you met with Chief Tamaris, or how's that going?
Yeah, myself and Ruben and Chief Tamaris met. Walt wasn't able to make it, I guess. We basically discussed more or less trying to focus on helping kids in the schools to know and have resources to talk to people, especially with the pandemic going on and schools are starting up. We discussed there's a lot more domestic violence going on, giving these kids a safe place to go to talk to somebody. Just trying to get information out. We talked about possibly putting some videos together that maybe they could show in the classrooms, but they were kind of leaning towards wanting somebody that age group that would be willing to talk about their life, you know, so that other kids could relate to it. That's pretty much as far as we got. Trying to find kids that are willing to do that is going to be tough.
We have some resources here who can voluntold students, is that what I'm kind of reading through the camera right now.
I'm sure, but at the time we talked about it, yeah, that was just something they were going to look into.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I wonder if Kaylin could work with connecting with the chief and our SRO officer on hooking them up with some students.
Yeah.
That would probably be a really good idea because from what we'd kind of discussed, I'm out of the picture on that because I don't work in the schools, but it would be definitely more beneficial to kids to have somebody of their peers doing those videos.
Yeah.
Well, I can find us some high schoolers. Pons can find us some middle schoolers. And I think that if we had someone to reach out to the Adventist school system, because it's also in our city, I think that would be really cool to get Rogers and Waba involved. I think we'd have a lot of really ready and willing participants down there as well.
Great idea. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think that a lot of us bring different connections to the table. I think that's why we're selected for this. And I think it's great to share those resources and those connections. So I love seeing that happen here in real time. I had an update. I was part of one of the focus groups of Blue Zones. And then I don't know what it's called, but after the focus group, I was called upon for another mini focus session to pick my brain about inclusion and just kind of talking about my experience, my personal experience. But I had a lovely conversation with Emily and some other folks that they mentioned today. And I think it's just great that they're asking, the right questions. They're asking us to speak honestly and freely, because at the end of the day, we want to improve our community. And so I kind of gave some feedback, and they seem to really appreciate that. So that's my update. Another thing that is kind of related, but not, it's kind of an update from me, is I'm participating in a giveaway to Black students in our community. We purchased this nonprofit group of folks. It's going to take place in College Place. That's why I kind of bring it up today, and it is a diversity initiative. We got together, we got some funding behind us, and we have 136 students that we're going to bless with. We're going to give two books each, and we partnered with College Place Library and the Rural Library, and we purchased the 2 books for them to keep. And here during Black History Month, February, the last weekend in February, we're going to have like a drive-through pickup of these books, and we're working with the school districts to get the ages and stuff like that, and then we're providing that information to the parents and students, and we're hoping that they come to the drive-through event. And if not, if transportation is an issue, we actually have a delivery to their doorstep kind of service too. But that's something going on in our community. That was just a bunch of folks who wanted to do something special, and I thought I'd share it with you all today so that you know it's happening. We're going to get more details, but that's going to happen at the end of this month, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And if you have any students, it's K through 12 level books, so we're going to give away through the K through 12 level. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Any staff updates that were additional?
I would say on the bilingual forms and communications, we have made progress in that regard. So the February newsletter, we have articles that were bilingual English and Spanish in there. There's a budget flyer that gets mailed out to everyone that's in process. That is going to be English and Spanish for first time, so progress there. And then working on building department forms. That's the next one, but that's going to take a while because there's a lot of forms in community development, but we're going on that.
That is great news. That is awesome to see. Okay. I don't see any other updates or progress. Let me get my little cheat sheet that Lisa put for me. Is there any other business for the good of the order today? Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Could I maybe ask one question before we adjourn? This is
Sure.
Walt.
Yes, please.
I'm gonna, before the next meeting, I'll be 93. And I retired early enough that I never really got used to using Zoom and the computer to have committee meetings, and my eyesight, my hearing are so poor that I don't really get as much out of these meetings as I could if we were meeting in person around a table where I was used to doing that type of thing for all my life. I wonder if is there a possibility that as soon as things open up that we'll meet in person and not have to meet on Zoom? Now, in fairness to the committee, I don't want to maintain a position on this committee unless I can make a contribution. And then if I don't see well, if I don't hear well, I really can't do that under the conditions you're meeting now. So is there a possibility that we'll meet in person once things open up so that maybe I could feel more comfortable being part of the committee? Otherwise, maybe you should replace me and get somebody that can hear and see, because I can't read any of the stuff that's on the computer here. One eye is almost gone and the other one is weak, and my hearing is a little bit bad, so I don't really hear well on the computer. So my question is, I would not be offended if you felt like it'd be better if I resigned and had someone else chosen. But if we do meet in person, I think I could do very well with that.
Okay. I would like to bring that question to city administration. Do you know of anything upcoming as far as whether we'll be able to meet in person?
I don't know about that yet. The governor and Department of Health, they release health statistics by region now every 2 weeks. So we'll know this Friday where we're at. They've changed it where we only have to meet like 3 of 4 criteria now, but instead of county, it's spaced by region. So they aggregate the data from Kittitas, Yakima, Benton, Franklin, Walla Walla, and Columbia County. And then that's what that decision is based on. And it's in 2-week increments. So we'll know this Friday if it'll be sooner or in the following 2 weeks. I would be hopeful that some of these requirements would loosen, but it's just hard to predict because it's based on the data.
Well, and I would have to add that at this point, the technology available at City Hall won't require or won't enable us to meet in person as long as we're still required to do the live streaming. Because we have to have everybody be able to be on camera, and when they're speaking, you can't have 2 people in the same room, both on a Zoom platform. And the City Hall chambers does not have adequate equipment to perform a Zoom meeting with using one setup to appropriately get each person that is speaking transmitted, I guess, over the live stream appropriately to meet the OPMA requirements. I was actually had this on my agenda to discuss with Mike tomorrow. The counties that are currently in phase 2 in Washington, those councils are still meeting via electronic means because they can't meet all of the requirements that are included for the OPMA rules. Even though if they didn't have to follow those OPMA rules, they would legally be allowed to meet in person.
Well, I expect everybody to follow the state requirements, and I don't ask for any change. I was thinking, is there a possibility that it will be meeting in person once it's opened up? If you're willing to wait till then before I can make any real contribution, that would be okay with me. But I don't want to hold up the good work that you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. I want you to. I don't feel at all embarrassed to say. I just can't make any contribution at this point.
I'd like to recognize Suzanne.
What if we made an exception for just him to go to the city hall where he can be with somebody who can fill him in on some of this stuff?
Would that be a possibility? Kaylin? Yes, Kaylin.
I don't know rules. Does it have to be at City Hall, or does it need to be like in a city building? Because we have the technology here at the school. We also have the ability to social distance here at the school. I mean, Sean was in my classroom. It's giant. So I don't know what the laws are on location.
I think, well, Lisa, if you could
Okay.
kind of explain that part, the OPMA.
If we're having an in-person meeting, it has to be open to the public as well, up to a 25% capacity of the room that we're meeting in. So maybe we can discuss some things.
Yeah.
Well, the other option is to get somebody that could be there to help him, you know. I mean, he's got a lot of valuable experience in this community and with the Walla Walla U, and I hate to see that go away.
Yeah, I would second that. Yeah, I agree with that.
I want the committee to continue its good work, and that can be done without me. And I just thought I should mention that in fairness to all of you, that I can't really make a contribution at this point.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Walt, because it's important for us to know that and to think about ways that we can include you and make it work. So I think the follow-up would be, Lisa, would it be possible for you to touch base with Walt on this? Or
Yeah, we can touch base with Walt, and I will touch base with Kaylin. And we also, I mean, the next meeting's in May, so we should hopefully have a little bit more knowledge about what the possibilities are when it gets closer to that time.
Great.
But yeah, we don't want to lose your experience and your expertise
No,
at all, Walt.
no.
Thank you for
a long time, so I'd like to
Thank
see
you for thinking about this.
Yes. Thank you for bringing it up so we can have our attention on that.
You will find a way to make it work, Walt.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right. I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All opposed? All right. Motion to adjourn at 5:40 p.m. That's impressive. We got a lot of stuff done. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah.